After going through the elementary, middle school, and high school system here in Canada and the US in 6 different cities, I attended my first year of postgraduate education here at UBC in 2019. And so alongside striving, of course, for excellence and what would become my degree as part of the honors biology program, I didn't hesitate for a second to get involved in a community which throughout my travels was home when there was no home. You know, as I recall, my first stop after the initial orientation on Imagine Day was the Musalla, a home, right? And for the next 4 years, my connection to the Muslim community would grow as I took on the role of a regular Jumu'ah Khatib, active community member, MSA, UBC lead volunteer, and now as I present myself before each and every one of you, an MSA UBC presidential candidate. And you know what? When you are so deeply embedded within a community that has trusted you to lead them in the Jumu'ah prayers and speak in front of them in the Jumu'ah khutbahs, when the elders give you pointers on your khutbah after salah and the brothers come to you asking questions that you might not be qualified to answer, and so you direct them to scholarship, of course, when elders, they become parents to you of sorts, and the students around you become siblings to you of sorts. When first years come to you for advice and they remind you of your younger brother, when this beautiful community becomes so inseparably embedded into the very fiber of your sense of care and affection, you develop a level of protectivity over this community. And so it pains you so incredibly much when this community becomes fragmented and disjointed. But you know what? It pains you even more so, even more, and invokes within you a call to action even more so. When you see the Islam that holds that community together being attacked, when the Islam that holds that community together and intertwines their priorities and concerns and motivations together is being diluted or changed beyond recognition. Brothers and sisters, I love this community. And I won't stand by and watch as foreign, external, and alien ideas seek to dismantle what this community is based on, Islam. And it is for this very reason that, subhanAllah, those around me have asked me to run for MSA UBC president. I want you to put yourselves in the perspective for a second in the shoes of a first-year Muslim UBC student who has taken on this audacious decision of attending one of the most liberal universities in the world. Naturally, the student will gravitate towards a club that, on campus that fits with what they've learned growing up, the Muslim Students Association, the MSA. And in the various socials, conferences, and events, the students, they'll learn more about the Quran and the prophetic wisdom, all which are amazing, great, good things. But that isn't where the story ends, because at UBC, this student in the lecture halls, the public parades, and the social justice rallies will begin to interact with ideas that they are not familiar with, and concepts that have ideological underpinnings that are so contradictory to the student's background, yani Islam. And this is where the railroad splits. Because on one path, you have, the student encounters these ideas, whilst the MSA turns a blind eye to this reality and refuses to speak out against such ideas, concepts, and philosophies, allowing this student to inadvertently adopt what he or she has been exposed to at UBC. But brothers and sisters, there is another path, another possibility, another outcome. Brothers and sisters, my vision for the MSA is not and cannot be one of passivity. It would be a disservice to you, to the deen of Allah, and to my responsibilities as a leader to be passive in my approach to dealing with the issues that our community faces on campus. Lectures, halaqat, and reminders about the Quran, they are good, great, actually great. But it would be, I think, a disappointment to the message of the Quran, to the Book of Allah, for us to actually ignore the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually presents His wisdom to us. Guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not put discussion of non-Islamic kufr ideologies in the back seat. No. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts these blasphemous ideas on blast, addressing them head on, unapologetically and directly. And it is in this scrutiny that allows Muslims to pick falsehood apart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually reminds us of the perfection of the truth. You know, the opposing presidential candidate has mentioned explicitly that discussion and dialogue regarding kufr must take a back seat. And the brother has framed this as one of the methods or approaches that can be taken to deal with the issues our Muslim community faces. However, if we're being honest to ourselves, if we are to be honest to ourselves, we must begin by admitting that turning a blind eye to the realities that plague the Muslims at UBC is far from a valid approach or method. Rather, it is a naive, I'd say, and you know, it is a naive, blind step into this battlefield against ideological warfare. I think we can all agree that we wish that the MSA UBC inquiry was not necessary. But if we revert back to the old ways of being passive and we turn the clocks back to a time before Muslims on campus were informed through the perspective of the Quran and Sunnah of the ideological dangers that they will face, it is most probable that history will repeat itself all over again. Though well-intentioned, naive Muslims will be indoctrinated by the tsunami of external to Islam ideas. And then scholars and community leaders and students again will object to these ideas, and they will once again be mocked and ridiculed and slandered, leading a future MSA to maybe request another such report. No, I ask you, is this a future that you all want? Is this a future that we want? You know, on one hand, you have a campaign which is based on this absolute distaste and an active scrutiny of the MSA UBC inquiry, whereas on the other hand, you will find a vision, inshallah, for the MSA based on a distaste for the circumstances that prompted the need for such a report in the first place. And so this is where you are all presented with a choice. Do you lie to yourselves and pretend that nothing happened and that pressing issues of ideological indoctrination and manipulation are going to passively fizzle out of existence as you close your eyes, hoping that the problem magically disappears when you open your eyes back up? Or do you choose to vote for a leader who will be active in his approach to dealing with pressing issues that the Muslim community, that the Muslims on campus face, and will, with wisdom, scholarly and community consultation, patience, care, and also with an unapologetic strength, challenge these issues that seek to dismantle the Islamic fiber that holds our community together? You know, the choice is yours. I urge each and every one of you to check out the link that you will find right below, inshallah ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.